Welcome to Swamp Bites here at Swamp Shangri-La Rural Living. Our subject matter for this Swamp Bite episode is general chainsaw care, chainsaw preparation, and making sure that saw is in running configuration for you. As you can see, we started the video up with the beautiful sound of two chainsaws warming up. Those saws were warming up, I'd say, anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes. I just cranked them up and let them idle. And then at the end, you saw me give it some fuel, high revs, and then I shut them down. What we want to do is explain something. And this is for the homeowner. This is for the individual who's taking care of storm damage in your backyard. You're just out cutting firewood, or you got a lightweight logging operation like we do in our backyard. Now, I am going to approach this if you do not know anything about a saw. So we are going to discuss this. We'll take the handy dandy 291 steel, my go-to saw. Yeah, I love my 661. Not gonna lie to you, but this is still my go-to saw purely because it's got a good size to it, it's got good horsepower to it, and it's easy to wield. The 661 is a beast. It has its purpose, and that's exactly why I bought it. But it's like any tool. What fits the need for what you are about to do? You don't necessarily need a 10-pound hammer to drive nails when you could have it done with a 1-pound hammer or less. Food for thought. So, first thing you want to do on any saw is you notice you have a gas tank and a bar oil tank. What we want to do here is make sure our fuel level is up to par. You can see we're going to need to fill this thing up before we start because the fuel level is down. So what we'll do is we'll come in here, and I like to use pre-mix myself. That's just me. You can buy it in cans. Steel has their own brand of pre-mix. I generally get a 50-to-1 ratio, Briggs & Stratton ethanol free. A lot of guys prefer to mix their own. So we're going to fill this up. Right there's plenty. Now you notice I filled this up to just below the chock well right here, where this goes in. Put it in, lock it in. Now we're going to check the bar oil. Bar oil can stand to have a little shot in there. You have so many different brands of bar oil, and you can see on the jug it says bar and saw chain lubricant. It's bar oil. You have so many different brands of bar oil on the market. It's unreal. Steel makes bar oil, Husqvarna makes bar oil, and I think about every oil company makes bar oil. See what works better for your wallet or what you need at the time. And that's the best thing I could tell you. The other thing I want to tell you is check chain tension. Now, let's talk about chain tension. You want to have good snap in your chain. Now, every saw by Steel has bar nuts, unless you get the smaller versions that have a camming lever on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen up this chain just a shade. I'm going to show you how to do it. You have a scrunch, 19 millimeter on one end. Steel takes a 19 millimeter scrunch for the bar nuts. So we're going to loosen these just a shade. And then we're going to just lightly, you have a nice screw right here. So we're going to loosen that up just a little bit. And it has some good snap on it. Then I always tighten the rear one first. Then I'll go to the front. Then I go back. Make sure I'm in a snug, tight configuration. You see I got good snap on that chain for oiling. The other thing you want to keep in mind, each saw is different regarding its start configuration. This is an older steel, so it's got a 4-position switch, not a 3-position switch. The bottom is full choke to get some fuel going. Right there, and second from the bottom, is half choke for crank. Right here is run, and the big 0 is a kill switch. That's all she wrote. So we've had the saw running for a little bit. With some saws, sometimes they crank better when the chain lock is in run configuration. For safety aspect, always start it with the chain lock engaged. That way, you don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is just drop this down to the first and give it a bump. And kill it. That's pretty much all she wrote. You also want to make sure this chain is sharp, so just take your finger and feel the grab on the teeth. You should feel a nice chisel profile, and it should have a nice pricking feeling like you're feeling a knife edge. That way you got an idea how sharp it is. Here in a few more cuts I'll be sharpening this chain, and we'll go over that as well. Now for your larger saws, before you do any of that, you have a piston button right here. It's a detent button. Always depress this. It takes the compression out of that piston. It's probably called a decompression button. So, larger saws, some guys will freehand them and the like. I generally try not to. I'll put my boot on them. You can see we got good play on the chain and the like. We'll check the fuel level, of course, because it has been running for a little while. And we were running it quite a bit yesterday. So you see that the fuel's fairly low in this. Now keep in mind with a commercial saw, you will go through more bar oil than you will on a residential saw. And the reason for that is they have high capacity oilers on them. Their purpose is to keep that chain lubricated. That's the reality. So, we're like so, we're like so. Let's give this thing a friendly little crank. voila. When you store your saws, always store them dry. So if you're done cutting for the season, even though the non-methanol fuel does last, and I have left it in my saws for a long time. That's the way life goes sometimes. The best practice I will tell you, if you're getting ready to put them up for the season or put them up for whatever period of time, run them out of fuel. Let them idle, use them, what have you. Store them dry. So, we hope this has been a nice little video for you. We've gotten a little tidbit of knowledge. We'll see you on the next one.